how to create unusual distortions using the equations filter in Affinity Photo. The current image is a gradient design. Go to Filters menu, Distort and Equations. The Equations panel is fairly basic, but underneath that it is a very powerful filter. Sadly, there is no preset feature. Go to the bottom of the panel and set the Extend mode to Mirror. Use Cartesian. In x equals, put Rx, and in y equals, put Ry. These are relative values. You can interactively move the origin point on the screen. You can also add functions into the x equals and y equals. For x, put sqrt bracket rx times rx plus ry times ry bracket. Straight away you can see a very interesting distorted effect. Divide by 10 to zoom in, multiply by 10 to zoom out. You can always use other values, of course. You can always change the extend mode at the bottom of the panel. I personally prefer mirror. The panel comes with 3 sliders, 3 parameters, A, B and C. Sadly, the equations panel is not as flexible as the procedural texture. Go to the X field and at the end put a multiply by A. You can then use the A slider to vary the value of X. You can still go to the image and still move it around as well as varying the parameter A. Use this to create a whole variety of different designs. Go to the X field, select all of the equation and copy. Paste the same equation into Y. In the Y field, go to the end and change the A to a B. The result is a circular effect, but you can vary that. In the Y field, go to the Rx values and change them to bracket Rx minus Ry bracket. The result, not a circle anymore. The Rx minus Ry brings a diagonal effect into the equation. Go to the parameters and experiment. Sadly, there is a limit to the number of parameters, but you can always add constants at any point, say 0.2 times Rx, etc. Go to the Y field and put a C times in front of the Rx where you got square root bracket bracket. You can always change your mind and put the C somewhere else, C times Ry instead. You can vary the equation in all kinds of ways. So change the Ry to an Rx plus Ry, maybe multiply it by a constant. If you find an equation you really like, you can always make a note of that equation, because there's no presets, sadly. You can capture the result via macros, via the macro panel. You can add the macro to your library via the Add to Library button. You can see by varying the parameters, all kinds of results are possible. Once you're happy with your design, click Apply. You can now use the result in other filters, or go to the File menu and export as PSD or PNG. I'm going to use the Mirror filter for some really interesting symmetry effects. Filters menu, Distort and Mirror. Change the input setting, change the number of mirrors. Vary the origin point interactively on the screen. Once you're happy with your design, click Apply. You can always go back to the equations filter and use it again, and distort the image in even more ways. Hope you found this tutorial of interest. I'm always adding new tutorials about Affinity Photo. Please subscribe to the Graphic Extras channel. Add a comment or two, a dislike or like. Thank you much.